Hello everyone, welcome to the Redmen TV. It's the build-up show. The Premier League is back. It's the 2019-20 season and it all kicks off this Friday. Liverpool against Norwich City. I am Paul Mitchell and I'm joined by Chris, by Ross and by Ben for this one. Chris?
Mate.
I noticed you were very, I don't know whether it was a deliberate thing, but you referred to the Charity Shield as a friendly a lot in the Final Word show this week. So look, I think it's only fair to go in. The proper footy is back. It was fine. It was a thing. I'd have been delighted to win it. We'll talk a little bit about it in a minute. But the Premier League, the proper footy is back, and it starts on Friday. How excited are you?
I am very excited. I think the main thing is I'm really excited to see what Anfield's like as well. Mm-hmm. You know, because obviously it's the first time we get to play there since the Champions League win. Mm-hmm. I just think it's going to be a really great atmosphere there, and couple that with a great performance, I thought, and I do say that, and I don't, I'm not messing my words up. I think it was a great performance by Liverpool in the Charity Shield, and I'm just really excited that you can just sort of, for me, forget all the pre-season games and just get back to the proper footy. And it's a great opportunity for us, a promoted side, a side that we don't know too well, but traditionally we've done well against. Mm-hmm. I just think it's brilliant, and the fact that it's Friday before everybody else, the lads will be going out there going, we need to show the world that we are going to be fighting for this title from the word go.
Yeah, that's it. I think the Friday night thing is perfect, really, Ross. I mean, there's something about going on a Saturday and the sun's shining and but it being a night game, I say under the lights, it'll probably be dark enough, but it'll be dark by the time it really gets into it. But it gives you that day to build up to it. Go and have a few pints for people going after work or whatever. There's always a good atmosphere in those kind of environments. And it's right. It's that thing we've heard in pre-season, the Champions of Europe chant. I have been waiting for it. I've waited 14 years for us to get back into this because it was one of my favourite things about the season after 2005 was the COP doing We Are the Champions of Europe. That's all adding to my sense of excitement.
Yeah, and there's loads of elements that play into our hands. Like I said, the night game at Anfield, the atmosphere, it won't be a European night because it's Norwich in the Premier League. It's not quite the same ring to it.
But it being the first game of the season and having something to celebrate.
It's all the excitement you get for a new season anyway. But like Chris says, it's the first time the players will have played at Anfield since we had the parade. Mm-hmm. But the fans will see Liverpool actually get behind him. It's a homecoming essentially, isn't it? At Anfield, and I think that plays in hands. I think the other thing is as well, I'm at the point where you just said then of pre-season, all the results are not really asked about. And when you're trying to pick a team and stuff, I think we're really exciting that we could play pretty much anyone. And I'd be happy with it, particularly midfield or even at right back. And, there's a headache at left wing, but stuff, I want to see all the players, and that's that exciting as well. Having a conversation like, who'd you pick and stuff, and all that stuff that you have with your mates, it always comes back, and that's that exciting.
Ross makes a really interesting point there, and it's that we've not signed the first team player, and yet I'm excited to see what these players are going to do. Yeah. I wasn't sure I would feel like that until it actually come to it. How is Naby Keita going to perform? Oxlade-Chamberlain, what's Origi going to be like if he plays from the left-hand side? Who is going to be playing right back? This was a settled side that, you knew exactly what was going to happen week in, week out last season. We've not signed anyone, and there's question marks about how Liverpool are going to play. It's just what happens at the beginning of a new season.
We have got a bunch of new signings, haven't we, Chris? Lallana.
Yeah.
I think the Charity
Shield... Naby Keita's like a new signing.
The Charity Shield...
I'm just doing it for the fucking...
The Charity Shield was
Henderson said it in an interview, the other day about the new signings.
Also, Tom Werner come out as well, didn't he, this week, and basically repeated what Jurgen Klopp said. Great.
The Charity Shield was dead important, I think, for the sense that the way we used our substitutes.
Yes.
And Naby Keita, Lallana, Chamberlain all came on. Yeah. It was about fitness for them and, staking a claim to put a place in for this weekend. And I thought it was dead encouraging because I'd written Naby Keita off until he popped up at Lyon, and I was going like, I haven't seen anything of him. Yeah. But he looked dead sharp in that game, he looked dead sharp again on Sunday. And again, Lallana, you joke about it, but you wouldn't be adverse to him starting this game.
No, but I think that your point is spot on, and Ben, that's the thing that the Charity Shield's done for me is I was a bit, I said it in content plenty, so I won't go too much into it, but yeah, disappointed because I don't like Liverpool to lose any game, and it's always nice to add silverware to the collection. But I walked out so much more excited for the season than I walked into that game, particularly the first 20 minutes or so when we were tired. But the what we did, and what Ross is kind of alluding to there with the substitutions, we put like, did we use the full 6 or close enough to 5?
Yeah.
And you go. It gives you so many more exciting conversations to have, and Naby Keita, etc., is exactly that. It left me tantalisingly wanting more. So it ended up being the ultimate pre-season friendly in some regards because it was a competitive game that got our juices flowing. But realistically, as you said, we've added fitness, we've added form, and we've added to the fans' sense of overall, perspective.
Yeah, and especially when it's players who we haven't seen so much of. So obviously, as Ross said, like Keita's had his injuries problems over last season and over the summer as well. So like he didn't play in America. He didn't do any of those games. Yeah. And now we've seen a little bit of him, and suddenly it's like, oh right, okay, well suddenly you remember almost that he's another option, and that's what a good pre-season game should do. It should leave you wanting more, and we're all excited about 99% of fans are excited about the season coming up anyway. The other 1% is still moaning about the lack of transfers, but most people were looking forward to the season. I was going into that game on Sunday a bit let's just not get rolled over. If you come out of that game and they've beaten us 3-0, there's a little bit less excitement. But I think that the fact that the second half performance in particular was so good, you're almost reminded why it has been so difficult for Jurgen to make transfers because the squad's so good.
We shouldn't need to be reminded, but you're damn right that there has been, and I think there's a little bit of. For me, and I can't at this point I can't speak for a wider sense of people because not as many people aren't as like entrenched in the Liverpool scene as we are in terms of it being a bit work as well as fun. I feel a bit of footy fatigue, if I'm honest. I wasn't totally ready for the new season, but having all of those contributing factors does it adds up to a point where we can get back to the footy. Normally, I've talked about this before, Chris, where transfers are normally so exciting, buying new players and what are they going to look like, etc., etc. But what the Charity Shield did was remind us, as if we needed reminding, that this is a side that is one of the best in Europe. Yeah. And Ben's right. If we'd been turned over by Man City, that could have derailed the season before it even started. But look, like City had that attitude going to Anfield last year and changed their style of play for it. Liverpool played like Liverpool, showed what they could do, albeit not ultimately successful. But I think that just adds fuel to the fire of excitement.
Absolutely. I mean, I can't tell you how excited I was on Sunday watching Bobby Firmino.
Yes.
Just watching him play football like it was a real game. Yeah. It's such a difference to what we've seen in pre-season games earlier on and during the pre-season. Him going in, shoulder barging midfielders, nicking the ball off the Mo, attacking his fullback. I was so excited to see that because it didn't feel like a pre-season friendly. I've not really enjoyed the pre-season friendlies. I've been to a few of them. We've sat in press boxes. I was in corporate for thing. I'm looking forward to getting back into the stands. Yeah. I'm looking forward to watching these lads really go out there and put everything on the line because that's what I enjoy about all of this.
That was the thing for me, is like I was kind of off to the side for the first half, and it was a bit, obviously the game itself and the performance wasn't particularly great, but then moving sat next to Steve for the second half and was bouncing and singing, and that's when you remember what it's all about. It's not about the bollocks, it's not about transfers, it's not about Twitter fume, because you messaged at half time, Ross, it was just like, I won't use the exact expression because I've been warned about that, but the basically Twitter was horrible, was absolutely horrendous at half time all over again, and it's that reminder, fuck Twitter, fuck social media, fuck instant overblown reactions to stuff. It's about the footy. It's about a love of enjoyment of watching those 11 fellas in red and red and sexy black as Alisson will be rocking. That's what it's meant to be about, and that's what's coming back. Not as much as all the other shite coming back with it. As long as we've got that, and as we saw on the pitch, those moments of excitement, a team that's ready to go, then I'm not going to get distracted by the other stuff.
It's escapism, isn't it?
Yeah.
For us all. That's what we all want. You don't get that Twitter stuff, and obviously it's part of my job, but I hate it. But it can influence what you think as well. Mm-hmm. It's like I've said something at half time. I thought Joe Gomez had been quite decent at half time, and then you can't have an opinion, can you? You just don't know it, or you're wrong, or whatever.
You were wrong because he was rubbish, but carry on.
It was decent. But that's the same thing of not just watching it, but coming back and having a conversation with your mates and stuff, like you say, going back to the stands and talking to people that you sit next to for years and years and all that stuff. Again, that's great. That's what you want as a football fan, isn't it? Or the excitement of having the weekend build up to all the other games and them not really affecting you and stuff like that. I think that's all part of the excitement. It's not just the Liverpool game; it's the whole football.
As much as we've bigged it all up, are we ready for a 9-month title race and the stresses and strains from the first game of the season?
I recovered from last season.
No. I don't think the answer now is no. But when you do something, I'll give you an example of it. from personal life. When we used to do those deadline day shows, and we do 8, 9, 10 hours straight, and like the first one we ever did, I couldn't talk for 2 days afterwards. I was physically absolutely ruined. And then the more you do them, the more you get into it. I think we'll surprise ourselves with how ready we are once it all gets underway, provided Liverpool continue to be good. Go on, Ben,
I was just going to say, it's funny because you mentioned at the top of the show, Chris mentioned at the top of the show there, we're ready to fight from this title from minute one, and I just sort of went, yes.
Oh yeah, that's the thing again.
Yeah, but yeah, it is exactly. I'm hoping that is that. I mean, if we'd won the bloody thing last season, I think that would have made it 1,000 times easier, because it's still.
Oh yeah.
Even though we've been through the battle of charging for one, we still not got the monkey off our back in that sense. We've got the trophy monkey off our back, but not the league title. I think the key thing is that the players will have experienced a proper title race now. Whether or not it'll go quite to the wire exactly the same as it did last season, with 2 points tallies that are so high, I don't think it'll be the high 90s this time that wins the league, but the players have been through it, and I think that'll be the key thing, because
there's a muscle memory to it, isn't there? Like, and you've gone through. It looks like they've refreshed a few things in terms of the back room, and then they're approaching pre-season, the motivational side of things, and all that kind of stuff, which is great.
Surfer.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. But that new messages is important. You've done it once. They're not soft. I'm feeling quite laissez-faire about the whole thing. I'm feeling very like. I don't think Liverpool are going to win the league this season. That's not because I think we'll be crap. I think we'll be brilliant. But in my head, I'm looking forward to it all, because there's so many new, different and exciting this time around. We're going into a season as European champions for the first time in a decade and a half. We've got the best squad we've assembled in the Premier League era, certainly. We get to go to a Super Cup, which we've not seen for years. We get to go to our first Club World Cup in 14 years. All these things.
And Nabil Fekir's moved club.
And Nabil Fekir's, it's completely sense. We don't have to talk about him. And everyone, and all the Buvac talk will be gone as well. I mean, there'll be new things.
Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah, there's going to be a ton of new things. But yeah, I personally don't add the winning the European Cup is taking the edge off for me, because you don't have to fend off this. Liverpool, Klopp needs a trophy. What if Klopp doesn't win a trophy this season? Well, he still only won the European Cup last year. As long as you're making a good fist of things, which I'm now from the last 20 minutes really of that Charity Shield game in particular, I'm convinced that we will. On some of the performances, Chris, Naby Keita, Ross touched upon him. He was the one for me who really, really stood out of the lads who came into that game. I wonder whether this might be this. We're talking about maybe this is his season, etc., etc. But for you, this game looming, good chance for it to throw him in.
I don't think he does start, if I'm honest. If it was me, I'd be like, get him on the field straight away. But I think it'll be a very, very similar starting 11 to the weekend. I think he looked great off the bench, and good impact players are hard to find.
Yeah.
And I think there was a little bit of a. I think there'll be more focus on wing play in this game from the fullbacks, particularly. There wasn't so much attacking fullback play against Manchester City for obvious reasons. They're attacking players, so I think we needed to bring that on and have a bit of thrust from the centre of the park. If the wing play doesn't work first 60-70 minutes, then I think you bring him in and you try something slightly different.
Yeah.
But as it is, I think it'll just be back to what we did last season. Get Trent on the ball, get Robertson on the ball, get the ball into the box and see where we go. See if Norwich can deal with it.
Absolutely. Well, we'll pick up a little bit on thoughts, and obviously we're going to talk about Sadio Mane's potential inclusion, etc. In a minute, we're going to go through preferred 11s, and we've got some opposition insight to come as well from Talk Norwich City's Jack Reed. But first, we've mentioned it before, it needs to be mentioned again. We've got a world exclusive interview with Liverpool boss Jurgen Klopp. The full 23-minute interview is on the redmentv.com, but there is a 6-odd-minute segment that's on YouTube that if you want to get fired up for this season, you need to get involved with. Here's a clip.
So we have to make sure that we are as good as possible again, go in the season and fight for whatever we can fight for, that's all. And we'll see what I'll create again memories, create again stories which we will remember in the future and look back. And maybe we'll be champion, maybe we'll be FA Cup or Carabao Cup or Champions League or not, but fight for it with all you have, and then we will see where it leads us to. Only if you want guarantees, stay at home. If you are ready to work, if you are ready to fight, if you are ready to dream together again, Come, let's do that together, and then everything will be fine. But guarantees you cannot get. You cannot buy them on the transfer market. You cannot nowhere. You only have to do your best, and that's what the boys are doing. What I'm trying to do, and what we all are doing, what you are doing, and so I love really this time at Liverpool. I have to say, it's just like we became the unit in football. That's how it feels. With all the problems around, and of course we don't have to talk about politics or anything like that, but all the football problems around. So many teams are rebuilding, that's all okay, and they will be probably successful again. But we have now this group, we have this unity with the supporters and all that stuff, which is rare. Sometimes you take it for granted. It's not, it should not be. We paid back, you paid all back constantly, so it's all in. Let's use it.
So yeah, that segment is on the YouTube channel, which we'll annotate to at the end of the video if you want the full thing, if you need the full thing in your life. And trust me, you do need the full thing in your life if you want to reach that fever pitch ahead of the new season. Go over there. We've also got exclusive interviews with the likes of Virgil van Dijk, with Jordan Henderson. Chris sat down at the end of last season with Oxlade-Chamberlain and Jordan Henderson as well. Some of the biggest and best names in the Liverpool squad, all there chatting exclusively to us and exclusively available on the redmentv.com. So sign up, get your first month free, and enjoy all of that amazing content. Right, let's talk a little bit about what we think or what we would like to see Liverpool do in this game. Ben, is there any specific changes you'd be making from the Charity Shield game? Is it sweeping, or is it one or two little? Is it a little bit of tinkering?
It's definitely not sweeping. To be honest, I'd keep the same back five. I'm a
so
fan.
Gomez.
I'd keep Joe Gomez. I think that's what Klopp is looking at long term. I was kind of on board with playing Matip on Sunday, and obviously I know he scored. But for me, the plan has always seemed to be under Klopp. Let's play Gomez long term, and as I think, no matter how well Matip plays, if Joe Gomez is fit and he's sharp, I think Klopp will play him. So I'd stick with the back four.
Do we think, just because I don't disagree with any of that, but for the conversation of it all, Chris, it's slightly on Matip, because I think he was absolutely brilliant when he just scores the goal that gets us back in the game.
I keep saying I thought Matip was playing better than Virgil van Dijk for the last 5 games of the season, and I stand by that. For me, I would absolutely be getting Joel Matip in. I think he was brilliant. I think he was brilliant on Sunday. He obviously gets the goal that gets us back into the game. He's done nothing wrong in my eyes. In fact, it's not that's even a discredit. He's done everything well.
Yes.
It's not that he's not done anything wrong.
Yeah,
he's done everything brilliantly.
Yeah.
And you know, how many times where we see he's the one who's bringing the ball out on a mazy, mad run. I just enjoy watching him do that. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, like I say, Joe Gomez is absolutely the Liverpool's long-term thing, Ross. But I wonder whether Gomez was picked specifically for that game because of the extra
recovery pace.
Yeah, and you know, and you were talking about it on the final word show about like the high line of Liverpool were playing. That it does make sense having someone like Gomez in and around there. But I don't know whether. Yeah, I personally feel like Matip will go back in. Where are you falling?
I'm with Chris. I prefer Matip in there. I think he just brings you so much more than Gomez does. That's not a criticism of Gomez, but I just think, you know, centre-back partnerships are vital, you know, in terms of understanding. Whoever Van Dijk has been with has been brilliant, but I just think Matip deserves it. I don't think, like Chris says, he hasn't done anything wrong.
100% going to be Lovren now, we've said all
well, you know what? This is the thing. He's the forgotten man, and yet he was always getting played. He got so many games last season when he was fit, and it wouldn't surprise me if Jürgen's going to start, you know, the 3 of them rotating throughout
it
the
might
season.
be an indication.
Just to caveat this, we're filming, there's still some time to go in the transfer window. If any of these players we're talking about have gone by then obviously that's a separate thing. So yeah.
If you look into the substitutions, like Matip played half an hour roughly, maybe that's a sign of, you know, he might start this game. Just get 30 minutes under his belt and then start him at the weekend.
My overriding feeling with this game is I think we talked the midfield that we played. I think Milner would have started if I'm honest, if he'd been available in that game. I don't necessarily know, or at least I don't think Gini would have played the full game, and that might have changed people's thinking on things. But I wonder whether in seeing Keita and seeing, you know, Shaqiri and seeing Lallana, etc., that there's perhaps when we're going to be a bit more gung-ho and a bit more go for the throw, particularly Naby Keita, he for me is going to be one of those difference makers. Look, I mean, you can't sort of do a carbon copy of his Huddersfield goal because you're not going to score the quickest goal in club history every week that you play or whatever. But what he was bringing, you know, a bit more of a flat track bully, Chris, a bit more of a guy who's going to drive through teams, getting more creativity in the midfield in these games could be, you know. And we know that Norwich, as much as they scored their way to the title last season, they certainly didn't defend their way to the title. I think they had the 14th or 15th, so maybe worse than that.
Defence.
So it was the 8th. I think it was the 8th best defence they had in the Championship last season. So we know they can be a bit suspect at the back. So it might be one of those games where you get as many offensive players on the pitch as possible.
Like I'm gonna disregard everything I said about the Community Shield and pre-season for a minute, because I think this is quite an important point. That's the first time we've put a performance together since the Champions League final,
which we barely put a performance in
against Manchester City, right? And I think Klopp realises, and I think it's what always happens at the start of seasons, it takes time to get that level back up and running.
Yeah.
So for me, it's about playing a midfield that you trust implicitly in this game, because I don't think it is all going to go to plan for 90 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
So for me, it's that midfield from 2 years ago. It's your Henderson, your Wijnaldum, your James Milner, plus Fabinho, and it's them four lads that are competing for those places, because you know you're going to be able to trust them in every situation.
It's interesting. Super Cup looming. Does that influence anyone's thinking for this?
I'd start Mane for this game. I'm playing for an hour and then take him off. In the sense of,
I've thought about this, right, and I was thinking more like Oxlade-Chamberlain, and one of the things that I think. You don't want to start anyone that you have to bring off, not in a Premier League game, because, you know, it's the first proper intense game of football. Niggling injuries are quite easy to pick up at this early stage of the season. I think you hamstring yourself slightly if you guarantee yourself, I need to make a substitute in this game.
You're looking
one
at
of your players.
Mo played the full game in the Charity Shield, so you're probably looking to get him off, as you know, particularly you don't want him playing 90 minutes back to back in a very short space of time. Potentially, hey, listen, I'm saying this like I'm a fucking sports scientist, like I've got any clue what they're available, but my overriding logic of what I've seen, that kind of rings true with me. I think that's the conundrum. My immediate thought was, like, my snap reaction on the Mane stuff was, you bring him off the bench, you give him half an hour, you bring him on 60 minutes, and maybe you sub, you know, for Salah. And that way you've put minutes in both those guys' legs, and that way
you haven't weakened your side either.
Because I think he'll want the front three ready to start the game against Chelsea.
It's Chelsea, and then we've got a tough trip to Southampton as well that weekend as well, and we will go into Arsenal after that. So there is a little tough run of fixtures coming up. I think we play Burnley at the end of the month as well away. But it'd be interesting to see what he does this week with the likes of Kent and Wilson, because I think this could be an ideal game for one of them to come in and maybe make a start, but at least get some time in the pitch. But I don't know if they'll be here by Friday. So it's a difficult one to include them in this conversation.
It's so that's the thing, and I wonder whether, and again, people will be watching this after any of those transfers are done and dusted, will have a clearer idea of all this. But I think that when you look at the players who came onto the pitch in the Charity Shield, you automatically, all of are like, well, we need one more for the front three, and I would still contend we still do need a senior left-sided player to compete a bit more with Sadio Mane. But when you're looking at Oxlade-Chamberlain, Shaqiri, you've still got, you know, Brewster's not made the bench for the Charity Shield. Divock Origi, if we're getting Mane involved, it means Divock Origi's time's going to start to get reduced. You're already looking, going, how does a Ryan Kent or Harry Wilson start this game? Yeah. I think the base logic is absolutely sound, particularly Harry Wilson, because look, you know, I mean, they've improved, but you're still talking about a team that's come from the Championship, a team that he's got experience in. You could do far worse than test Harry Wilson at this type of game, and he might well pay dividends. But I think we're starting to see whether the level of competition in that squad is too much. Because let's be honest, who would you rather, Kent or Oxlade-Chamberlain?
Ox,
yeah, oh yeah.
You know,
even knowing he's going to go max 60 minutes.
Yeah. But I'm not saying I think it's an interesting talking point.
I just think, because for me, I've never I think he might start Origi wide, but Origi wide doesn't really do anything for me.
Yeah.
So this is the type of game where you could throw in Harry Wilson wide.
Listen, that might well influence us, because we just don't know. Origi might be getting being earmarked to start centre forward in the Super Cup. We don't know. And you're right. Is he wasn't effective at the weekend. Now, not being effective against the best side in the country is no disrespect to Divock Origi.
And also against probably the only defender in the league who's faster than you.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, so we don't know. It's possible that might have altered his thinking, Ross. You know, he might have looked at it and gone, okay, I'll put someone else in. Again, we saw Oxlade-Chamberlain there off the bench. We saw Gini Wijnaldum there in pre-season. We might, we might well have seen Gini there. If Milner was fit, we might have seen Gini start on the left wing. These are the unknowns. These are the things in Klopp's thinking that we're not privy to.
That was my reasons for starting Mane, because I was saying with you, Origi out wide doesn't do anything for me. I think you mentioned impact players before. I think that's what Origi is. I think you start him against Norwich, and I hate to say it, but it's already a must-win game. Yeah. And like, can you afford to? He's not a passenger, he's a bit harsh, but to start him and him be ineffective again when you can say Mane started training again yesterday. So he's got 4 days of training and then obviously another day for the game. That's enough for me to say, actually, you come in, you start your front three, and then you go on. Harry Wilson's still, he's not a risk. But you know what you get from Mane. Even scares the shit out of defenders and runs ragged for an hour. Take him off, then you bring the Origi on, then he can have an effect on the game.
You could do something mad, I mean, like.
And if you bring Brewster on, you change your system.
But you could put Wilson right and put Salah centre forward. You know what I mean? If you wanted to, it depends on what Bobby Firmino's at. If you wanted to just rotate things, if he's just looking to keep it fresh and looking to keep that, because he's not really rotated the front three too much, but. We just don't know. It's a new season. They rip up the plans and they start again and they modify things. We rotated the midfield all the time last year. That was the one thing that saw constant rotation. It's entirely possible, given the lack of pre-season and consistent training these lads, that we could do something. But that's going to be. Yeah, I mean, we'll know. We can't know now, but we might well know a little bit more by this game. Speaking of know a little bit more, Chris spoke to Jack Reed from Talk Norwich City to get some insight into our opposition. Let's check that out.
What's happened at Norwich?
It's been a bit of a whirlwind, to be honest. We brought in a new sporting director in Stuart Webber. His wife, Zoe Ward, was previously at Liverpool, was incredibly influential in the Luis Suarez deal. So we've got a boardroom now that's got real calibre. As well as that, we've brought in Daniel Farke, who came in from Borussia Dortmund too and has implemented a lovely style of football. And it's just finally clicked. The recruitment's been spot on. I'm sure you've all seen the exploits of Timu Pukki scoring 30 goals last season. He was a free transfer. Emi Buendia, many have said he's just as good as James Maddison, £2.5 million from Spain. So the recruitment's been spot on. And what's been really nice, I think there's parallels to be taken with Norwich and Liverpool, is there's a real culture to get behind. What we've seen at Liverpool with Jurgen Klopp is fans buying into stuff. And although, granted, you've had a lot of good times over the past couple of seasons, when things haven't been going so well, the fans don't turn because they know this is a long-term project. And when there's that stability and that sustainability about a club, I feel like fans are more on board. So the morale around the club has been good. The recruitment's been good. Everything's just clicked. And no one expected us to go up as champions and by quite some stretch last season. But we did. And I think there's real optimism going into the Premier League.
Really good chat with Jack. Great to have him back. Great to have him back. Great to finally be able.
He was so excited because, I mean, we've been looking forward to the season. I mean, he's been looking forward to being back in the big time in the Premier League. He's made up that it's Liverpool first game of the season. He's excited to get back to Anfield and get on and stop going to places like Burton and get on some proper good away days and stuff. And you know what? He's a lovely bloke. His channel's absolutely brilliant. The full video's available on the redmentv.com, by the way. It's a good sort of 10-15 minute chat about Norwich and their journey over the last couple of years since we last spoke to him. And a little bit of insight into how they play as well. Some really interesting stuff, actually.
Because I realised this, because there's so many clubs you can just kind of like yada yada yada. You by osmosis keep up with what's going on. But yeah, I paid I was too busy paying attention. I didn't look beyond the top two of the Premier League for 6 months of last season, so I certainly didn't look at the Championship.
He was talking to me and he was like, "You'll have heard about our strikers, blah 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 and blah blah blah." And we've got it as a split screen, and I'm like, I've got no idea who you're talking about, mate. What league were you in? Oh, you must have been in the Championship because you got promoted.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, if you're a bit like us, look, we're Liverpool fans first and foremost. But yeah, if you want a bit more insight into the opposition, then go over to redmentv.com and watch that full video. But yeah, interesting as we know. Ben, Championship champions. They scored their way to the title last year. Last time we played them was the 5-4 at Carrow Road, which stands out for two reasons for most people. It's Lallana scoring the late winner, Klopp smashing his glasses. Rangers, and the fact that I watched that. And then we went in to have my wife have a second child, so like that always stands out to me as a day for me. Timu Pukki.
Yeah, that's what he says. That's how you say it.
30 goals and 43 in all competitions. But I said the defence is a bit of an issue. But look, we've got to hope that this continues this trend of what we've had with Norwich, as mentioned. No Luis Suarez in these kind of situations, but
and no John Ruddy.
In goal.
What we have got though is the 19th Norwich and the 20th Liverpool. Biggest spenders in the Premier League summer window going head to head.
Oh wow!
There's one for the Twitter fans.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if they beat us, well, look how much money they spent in the summer compared to us.
Yeah.
I think the idea is let's just get at them from minute one. Let's completely. They'll be still overwhelmed a little bit by the occasion, and we're back in the Premier League. Isn't this great? Let's go. Welcome to the Premier League. Let's give them one of them in the first 5-10 minutes.
Top of the table after the round one.
I always
can't believe Norwich have bottled the league already.
No, but I always go on
They
about
spent
it.
more than us.
Every single season, I talk about this when you get championship teams going up for the championship, and there's two things like Chelsea. When Chelsea was prime Chelsea, like always in the mid-noughties, would get a newly promoted team and smack them off the park, and and score a goal of the season contender on the way, just to get everyone excited on match of the day. I'd like us to be, to be that. We can't. I know West Ham were newly promoted, but we did that at the start of the last season. Really gave everyone that sense of.
I want the
optimism.
footballing version of an adult holding a kid head as he swings for him. Yeah. That's what I want.
Yeah. And the other one is, at least one striker who was amazing in the championship comes up and carries on that hot vein of form and scores a load of goals and goes into everyone's fantasy teams until like November, when they hit a dry spell and they never scored a game for the rest of the season. So that's one to contend with, certainly. Just looking at the fixtures, some of our rival fixtures, which I can finally expand beyond Man City because it is a new season. Anything exists in possibility.
So Everton will be there for a week or two.
So Everton are in there. So West Ham host Man City is the 12:30 kickoff. I mean, because it's big just from regards of, I think the Friday evening, you'd rather play Friday evening than the early kickoff on the Saturday. We saw West Ham give them a bit of a bloody nose. I think they did the same to Chelsea. I bet Chelsea gave Chelsea a tough time there last season as well. You'd expect City to roll them over, but if I had to pick a handful of fixtures for them, I'd like you want hopefully your biggest rivals this season to be away in the early Saturday kickoff.
Yeah. The problem for me is that pitch is bloody massive, and that really does suit Manchester City more than West Ham. Yeah. Like a small sort of.
It's like their ground, except with shitter stands, basically.
I'm not sure. I think City might have shitter stands.
No, you know what I mean? What I mean is, well, they don't have anyone behind the fucking goals at West Ham, do you? You know what I mean? You can't generate an atmosphere at the Olympic Stadium.
They can't at the Etihad though, Paul.
Well, when they get the baby blue toilet paper out, let me tell you, it's like a fucking cauldron. A very pleasant, clean cauldron.
The one big thing that, Manchester City won't have is that team welcoming, because that really G's them up, that team welcoming at the Etihad.
And here's Ilkay Gundogan. Smattering of applause. No, let's not dive into the toxic banter for a team that we're not playing just yet. But no, one of the points I'm making is big pitch. So you're right, it's a nice big pitch, but it doesn't come with it being an intimidating place to play at. So you're right, there's double-edged thing. Crystal Palace host the Everton at 3 o'clock. Spurs
the battle for Zaha
host Aston Villa.
It will be over.
Yeah.
Is it £100 million bid at time of recording?
Yeah, we'll see. Spurs host Villa. I think that's a good game for Spurs to start with. Going on to Sunday, Leicester Wolves, the battle for who's the team. With adding to Everton, good time for a team to lay a marker down very early on there. Newcastle host Arsenal at 2 o'clock, and the big one. I say the big one in like quite a funny way, really, because Man United Chelsea. No, I know. Man United Chelsea on a Sunday is just glorious. It's have your tea, sit down, watch a game of football, which hopefully be largely inconsequential, of two really good cultured, now in terms of Chelsea, recently storied sides with terrible managers, and one of their fan bases is going to go absolutely fucking pop at the end of it.
But you know, it's a good day for this game to be on as well, for the Super Cup for us.
Yeah.
You know, we've had 2 days more rest than Chelsea will going into that game.
Glorious.
And it's not one that they'll be taking lightly.
Yeah.
You know, they'll be going full throttle the entire game against Manchester United.
Absolutely, can't wait. Looking forward to an amazing weekend's action of football. Before we go, let's get your score predictions then. Liverpool, Norwich City, Friday night. Ben Kelly, what is it going to be?
2-0 to Liverpool.
Okay, Ross Chandler.
3-0.
Chris Page?
Yeah, 3-0 to Liverpool.
5-0 to Liverpool.
No,
5-1 with Timu Pukki grabbing a goal.
Okay.
And then diving into everyone's fantasy team.
Question for you all. What's going to be the big story coming out of this weekend? Not just Liverpool, Premier
whole
League.
weekend?
Yeah, the big story.
It's going to be the pressure on either Ole Gunnar Solskjaer or Frank Lampard.
I was going to say, I think Frank Lampard might get a win at Old Trafford, and that will be the story.
The United fans are defo will be more ready to kick off than the Chelsea fans, I think.
Zaha won't go to Everton and score a hat-trick against them.
And I think it's going to be Lampard gets a win. It's going to be brilliant until the international break. The international break happens and they come back and they're terrible after that.
Okay, I can live with that apart as long as they're terrible in the Super Cup. Before that, I can live with all of those things. Yes, don't forget to go and check out the Jurgen Klopp interview, which we'll annotate to right now on the YouTube channel. If you want the full interview again, go to the redmentv.com. Sign up, as I always state. At this point of the season, it's things like that we, you know, make the whole thing available. People who subscribe to the website fund the entire endeavour that we do for you guys. So if you like the free content and you want to support what we do, then get over there. And we give you loads of extra stuff as well. Not just like saying, here you go, Captain, and give some dough. No, we work for you guys to keep you guys entertained throughout the season and beyond. So yeah, go over there, get the first free month and then keep it for £5 a month thereafter if you want, for video and for podcasts into your native podcast apps as well. What more could you ask for? Gentlemen, thank you very much. I am thoroughly excited for that game. I hope you are too. Let us know all your thoughts on everything we discussed in the comments below and we shall see you post-match.